All right, the topic is 10 questions from music lovers. Let's hit it. So this is for Anthony over at AKG's Vinyl Life, and he basically is having a little celebration, his 100th episode, and he's asking 10 questions from music lovers. This can be any people, any collectors, vinyl, CDs, whatever. So we're going to get onto this. So it's going to be a lot of questions with not a whole lot of showing, but there are a couple things to show. And I like these. I did one of these, not too long ago. Richard McCook did his question thing earlier, and this is kind of a neat way to get to know people and their collections, their collecting habits, thoughts like this. And these questions are kind of like that. They are a look at how you listen to music and stuff. So let's jump right into that. Easy peasy. I'm gonna read the questions from the screen because some of them are pretty long, and then we'll go from there. So let's get right into it. Number one, how often do you listen to music? Where, when, and for how long? So yes, I would say almost every day, pretty much every day. There's got to be something that's played. It can be from different sources. So it is now, I mean, I sit at a computer and work all day, and for the most part, I can work with music playing. It's not like I'm focused on things. Sometimes I may want to have a quiet time. So music is playing pretty much all the time, and it varies, between what I'm listening to. It could be many different formats, but we'll get into that in another question. So yeah. Number two, how do you listen to the majority of music? Radio, streaming, physical, whatever. So that has changed a little in that ever since I've been working from home, I sit right here at my desk all day. So I used to at work would just be streaming, and it would be either Spotify or a handful of things that I actually had copied to my computer. Tended to be newer releases. I would take a CD to work and copy it, and then I'd listen to it at work. But for the most part, it was Spotify because it was access at work, and I could listen to anything I want. Ever since working from home, I have my record player right there, so I'm able to listen to vinyl more, and I do have my entire music collection digitally converted onto my computer. So I do spend a lot of time just listening to some of those digital tracks, especially if it's something I don't own on vinyl, things along that line. So today it's mostly vinyl, or I don't listen to CDs because I've burned them all to my computer. So it's either vinyl or digital tracks, which come from CDs, is the majority of what I listen to now. Number three, radio and streaming. So he's looking for the name of your favorite radio stations or streaming services. So when I was going to work every day, I was listening to mostly the morning show on FM 99, which is WNOR. It's a station that's been around since I was a teen, and they used to always do fun stuff. And they've always been they've always had famous DJs who had morning shows that were pretty popular, and they're a local station, but now they do that also. And so when I was in the car, I'd listen to them, and they'd have news and stupid news, and you can listen to them online. They got a neat crew in the morning that Rick Rumble and them that really go into a lot of fun stuff. So when I was driving to work, that's what I'd listen to in the morning. Now if I'm in the car and I don't have, now my car, before it broke down and I bought a new car, my car only had a radio. The CD wouldn't work, and it was a pain in the, not a pain. I could plug in my phone to the auxiliary plug and play, Spotify or whatever through the thing. But usually I would just listen to the classic rock station, 106.9, the Fox, which is classic rock. What they call classic rock, though, I think is stretching it sometimes, because to them classic rock is an era. Meaning if it's 20 years old, it's classic rock. To me, it's a style, meaning it's a blues-based hard rock and blues-based, So anyway, won't go into that. But morning show, FM 99, that music, they tend to have a little bit more modern music, more harder modern when they play music, or 106.9 is a classic rock. So it depends on what I'm feeling like. But now that my car has a CD player, if I'm out and about in the car, I'm listening to CDs. I take CDs out in the car and listen to them. If not, I have recently, because it's a new car, I have a 3-month free plan to Sirius XM. Have been listening to a lot of Hair Nation and Ozzy's Boneyard. I'm probably not going to keep the plan because it's way too expensive for my musical needs, and so I'll be canceling that probably next month. But for now, I listen to that or CDs. As far as streaming services, I still listen to Spotify if I listen to any streaming. Most of the time, it's going to be my own music on my own computer digitally done. But occasionally, and especially when the band is learning new songs, I'll have to pull up something on Spotify that I don't own, and I occasionally listen to that. I usually listen to Spotify a lot because they eventually get to know what you like, and so you have that radar playlist where it would play new songs by bands that you like or should like, and that was always a neat way to discover new bands. And they also have just mixes of bands that you like, so you could just randomly hit that and it would just play a bunch of random stuff. And so I used to listen to that a lot, but I really have not clicked on any of that in quite a while. All right, next batch of questions is moving into topics on physical media. So number 4, what year did you buy your first piece of physical media? What was the title, artist, format? Now, Anthony talked about how when he was a kid, he bought a lot of singles. I did the same thing. But when it comes to, and I've told this story before, but when it comes to actually an LP, an album that I went out, and I don't know who paid for it. I don't know if I had money at that age. What was it, like 11? I don't know if I had money or if my parents bought it for me. But the first album that I went out and got purchased for me or purchased myself, I don't know how, whatever, was Kiss Love Gun. So this would have been, I'm thinking probably early 77-ish. It came out, around, this would have been a month after it came out. So this was the first piece of music that I had purchased or had, consciously picked up for myself. And that, like I said, would have been that time. And then I saw them in concert, which we'll talk about that in a second too. Now, also going back, it's funny because so thinking about it when it comes to physical media and CDs, I remember the first CD I ever bought, and I still have it. Now, there's an argument as to whether or not this is the official one that I originally bought, and I won't get into that, but this is the first CD I picked up, Petrus Beat the System. In 85, when CDs, and I got my first CD player, I was listening to almost exclusively Christian rock. And so when it comes to Christian music on CD, literally the only 2 CDs in the Christian market that were found anywhere where I was at was Petra's Beat the System and Amy Grant's Unguarded. My roommate bought Amy Grant, I bought Petra. Those were the first 2 and only 2 CDs we had for quite a while before CDs really took off. I'm pretty sure this is the same one I got, but I guess on Discogs there's a debate as to whether or not the original copy had no barcode. Mine has a barcode, so it could be somewhere in the past I got rid of my original. I bought it when it was in the store. Either I got rid of it and then later repurchased one that was a repress of an unknown year with the barcode, or I bought it late enough in the game that it was a barcode reissue. So I don't know where that stands. I'm pretty sure that that's the original CD I bought in 1985. Who knows though, right? All right, number 5. What forms of physical music do you own and which do you have the most of? So started buying records again in 2017, 2018. 2017, yeah. And I started making videos in 2018. So I've only been buying records, for less than 5 years. So my CD collection way outweighs my vinyl music collection. But the vinyl is, it's not catching up, but it's up there. When I look at all the things I have on Discogs, it's telling me I have around 3,100 CDs. And when I look at the vinyl, it's saying I have somewhere in excess of 1,800. So, I've got almost 2/3 the amount of records as I do CDs. Nowadays, I buy mostly just vinyl unless there's absolutely no vinyl reissue, and I have been buying things on vinyl and selling CDs, so I'm trying to balance that out. Some get rid of CDs that I don't necessarily need if I've got it on vinyl. So but that's kind of spares. I got a bunch. You can't see it now because I got the blurry background, but there's a bunch of CDs up here that I need to list for sale. So yeah, that's about it right now. And I have maybe 20 or 30 cassettes, maybe a little more. But that's, for the most part, it's either CDs or vinyl. I don't own any 8-tracks or anything along that line. So. Number 6, what form of physical media do you listen to the most? Again, when I was going to work, it was mainly streaming because it was hard to do it. My car didn't have CDs. So I'd buy the CDs and I would listen to them at home, or I'd rip them at work and listen to them at work. So I was technically listening to CDs, but not physically. Now, for the past 2 years, I've been working from home. It's been definitely vinyl and or CDs that have been ripped to my computer. I don't actually pull out the CDs and put them in. I don't know if there's a drastic sound difference, but just for convenience sake, I can click from the computer and go. Now, again, I just bought the new car a month ago, And so I have been listening to CDs in the car, which is kind of fun to go back and do that. But yeah, for the most part now, it is going to be mostly either records or CDs that I have burned to my computer. Number 7, what's your favorite genre of music? Like Anthony, I'm going to go with just a generic rock and everything that falls into that category. I too grew up in the same era as him when it comes to music. Stores had rock and they had rhythm and blues and they had jazz and they had classical. I mean, they didn't have, nowadays you go in there and you've got a heavy metal section, which I love shopping into, and you've got pop and rock, and you've got and I mean, I have one record station, one record store that I go to that actually has, extreme metal, heavy metal, hair metal. They have sludge rock and metal. They have, and then punk and all that. But back when I was growing up, anything that had the word rock in it was going to be in the rock. Punk rock, acid rock, psych rock, prog rock, any of that. So I am a rock and roll fan. I like jazz, but definitely my collection is out overweight with rock. It's not going to be, anything but from there. I do prefer melodic metal. I'm not much into extreme metal, but I can handle a little bit of that. I have been getting into some psych rock recently, and looking at exploring that a little further. But anything rock, I just rock, hard rock, melodic metal, power metal, U.S. power metal, progressive metal, prog rock, you name it, it's going to be something with an edge for the most part. But again, I've really been getting into classic rock a lot because you find a lot of that in the cheapie bins at the record stores. And so like that Argent album I picked up, loved it. Never listened to them before in my life. There's a 70s band. So I'm finding a lot of the stuff that you can get for, minimal amount of money in thrift stores and or bargain bins, where I'm trying out bands that maybe my brother was more into than I was. And so yeah, it's been kind of changing my some of my listening flavors here and there. So great stuff. All right, number 8, live music. What was your first large venue concert, and what is the next one you plan to go to? First one, I've mentioned before, first concert ever was Kiss in 1979 for the Dynasty Tour. I would have been almost 13, 12 years old. My older brother took me with some friends of his, and that was my first big concert experience that I personally went to, that I personally was involved in. I do know that my dad and them took me to see Rory Clark at some point. We met Rory Clark afterwards. He signed my hand. I got that whole story. But I vaguely remember that. Had no clue what the music was. I'm sure I saw concerts with my parents prior to that, but I was old enough for my father to be carrying me in his arms, so it was too young to care. Kiss, 1979. The next one, I don't know. There's a couple I want to go to. Wasp is coming with Armored Saint like in November, but I haven't bought or committed to any of these concerts. So at this point, I don't know what the next one will be. I know I have some desires, but I have not committed to any things. Iron Maiden's coming, but they're coming about 3 or 4 hours away. I'm not sure if I'm going to go see them this year again or whatever. So at this point, it's up in the air as to what the next one will be. Number 9, if you had the power to bring back one artist from the dead, who would you be and why? And I don't know. That's not something I really thought of. Honestly, last week I saw the Elvis movie. Part of me I'd like to see him come back. Where would he have went if he didn't die at such an early age in his 40s? If the movie was accurate, I know there's a lot of fiction in there, but if it was accurate, it's one of those examples of how management drives these people to death, drives them into the ground with the schedules. And, where would he have went? What would he have accomplished had he continued on and had not been steered in that way with the management? I'd love to experience and see him, even though I'm not a huge fan. I have a lot of respect for that. I have a lot of respect for what he did. And after seeing the movie, and I've seen movies similar to that, and I knew the history, I've had a lot of respect for him. I don't own any of his music. I do have some of his stuff on my wish list as far as like some of the greatest hits albums, and thought it would be great to have some of that. But I don't own any aside from a CD of his like number 1 hits or something. So I would like to see that. But then you also think, well, how about Cliff Burton, bassist for Metallica? If he hadn't passed away, where would Metallica have went after that with him versus Jason? Or another near and dear to my heart, Eric Carr, drummer for Kiss. Eric Singer, great drummer, love him. But what would Kiss have been like had Eric Carr not passed away? What would Revenge have been like? Where would they have gone with that? Eric Carr was a great drummer, and I think that between the time he joined and the time he passed away, there wasn't a huge amount of material there. So it'd be like, where would they go? Because they went from kind of that poppy stuff in the 80s with Eric into Revenge, one of their heavier albums with Eric Singer, what would that have looked like with Eric Carr going forward? So that's just a thought. Those are just musicians versus people who are like singers and stuff. But I don't think much about it. But those are some of the thoughts initially off the top of my head. And then number 10, if you could hear one last song for your life, what would it be? Yeah. Oh, not even gonna. I don't know what I would think about for that. I don't know. I have so much music that I can't pinpoint a song. Now I'm looking at this song from the angle of, and it's probably not the way it was intended. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but one last song in your life. Is this a song that I'm hearing like on my deathbed? Is this a song, or is this just a song where it's like, okay, all music is gone tomorrow. You have to listen to one more song, and then for the next 50 years, there's no music. I don't. One song that reminds me of death a lot that I have that tears up or just has a nostalgic feeling in my heart from being a child is Seasons in the Sun. It's all about dying. And so that comes to mind as one of the last songs. It's just like, hey, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. It's one of those deathbed types. So that comes to mind. Whether I want to hear that or not, I don't know. But it's kind of like a bye-bye song, goodbye. So I'd be hard-pressed to really, off the top of my head, and I've given it a little thought, but I don't know. There's so many songs out there. I can't say that there's a song. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to sort of kind of pass and just count that as my answer because I'm not sure where I would go with that. That's all for this one. Now I'm going to stop here. It's been rambling on for too long. Check out Anthony's video will be linked below. Check out his channel if you're not already, and jump on this thread if you'd like. We'd like to hear a little bit more about you and your musical, tastes and how you do things. And I'll be back later. Rock on and rock hard.